Sure do. So welcome back, everybody. Here this evening to provide our capital projects update is our Chief Operations Officer, Matt Bryant, and the Director of our Facilities and Construction Services, Mr. Earl Smith. Thank you both for joining us.
Absolutely. Somebody said if I faked an injury, maybe this would go faster. I did cut it down from an hour to 50 minutes, so we're going to be in good shape tonight. And I do want to lodge a complaint that Dr. Schmitz is a hard act to follow. So I don't know why I always have to follow Dr. Schmitz, but I don't know. I'm starting to get a complex over that. He does such a great job, and I'm going to stumble through mine probably. So it's great to be here tonight. So thank you for giving us the time to come tonight. Earl Smith, our Director of Facilities and Construction, is going to join me tonight for this update. We're excited to bring you this information and talk through some items that I'm sure have probably been on your mind, or we'll put them in your mind, and we'll see where that conversation goes. But we are excited to be here tonight and do this presentation for you. Uh-oh. I have to do technology here. I got that far. Look at that. Okay. Didn't think I could do it. So, yeah, tonight we're going to talk about our capital projects update. So in this update, we'll be including the new schools. Those are our big parts of our projects that we do, but we're also going to talk a little bit about facilities and the general fund projects that includes. And then we'll wrap that up with some 40 million bond project updates and give you a little preview of what is to come in the next year and what we're planning for. And then we will also talk about some of the challenges that we faced and are facing, and we'll work through that. First slide we want to talk about, so we hear the statement sometimes you hear, and I appreciate some of my colleagues reminding me about this, is we hear this comment about promises made, promises kept. And that reminds us what we are responsible for with this bond election. So Superintendent Kingsley made note of this earlier about the public trusting us with that bond election, how important that is that we have that trust, how important it is that we remain good stewards of those taxpayer dollars, and that we provide quality products and facilities and things like that to our students so that their learning experiences are the best they can be. So our theory of action is almost like our vision statement. So if we're good stewards of taxpayer dollars and honor our commitments to our schools and our community, then we will maintain public trust and can continue to create safe and effective learning environments. That's the goal of facilities and construction. That is our support to the system to help our teachers and other staff do the jobs of educating our kids. Just an overview of the bond. The bond, 2016 bond, was passed for $375 million. We did receive a bond premium of a little over $47 million, and the interest coming in on that money has been a little over $16 million, about 16.5. Total funding available was $440 million. The majority of that, around $300 million, was for the two middle school, high schools, our big projects. Then, of course, we had Bamford, the transportation, and then the $40 million list, and we've since added some other projects that we'll talk about here with the BRAC money. How did we how we got the bond premium? I don't know that I can explain that, but I would invite Dave Montoya to help with that.
Sure. So when we issue bonds, it depends on the market conditions. There's at times where the market conditions are such that investors are demanding more interest rate when we sell the bonds, and so they often will sell at a premium, meaning that we get additional cash in that sale. Sometimes there's a discount market. We haven't had one of those where you'd actually take less than that, but the market, at least for our last couple issues, have been such that we got a premium with them.
Great question. Thank you, Dave, for fielding that one. So the next slide we talk about, I mentioned the BRAC just a minute ago, and that was the Bond Reserve Allocation Committee. That committee was formed back in September of 2021. It was made up of school-based and central office personnel as well as our employee group presidents, because we wanted all stakeholders in the room to discuss the reserve money that was left in the bond, which we did end up with a good amount of reserve that's going to allow us to do some more projects and add additional work to the system and make a difference at a lot of different at other sites. So we met monthly from September 21 to February 22. During that time, we had a board presentation. We had some other presentations to other committees, community members. We asked for comment and feedback from that. And then from that, we received some prioritized items to spend that reserve on. And you can see that we've broken them down into 3 buckets down there. Cabinet priorities, if you'll remember, the Timnath ADA renovation, that is to provide better ADA access to that school. There is no elevator in that school. This will install an elevator in that school and improve access for students and staff. The Rocky Mountain High School HVAC project, which began as a $40 million project, but grew as we got into it, and the needs were larger than what was initially thought. So we asked for some money to complete that project. That project was almost completed this summer. If you recall, back in November, we asked the board to approve the purchase of some rooftop units for that project. We were trying to get ahead of the curve there. We almost made it. I believe our last unit came in 2 weeks ago.
No, it still hasn't come in.
Still hasn't come in. So we're still trying to finish that project with a rooftop unit, but so we can say it's about 98 complete. So that is what you hear when you hear supply chain issues. We fell victim to that, even though we ordered them in plenty of time, what we thought anyway. The Icestone Wellington Middle School conversion, that is the campus there where we will create a early childhood center at the Icestone Elementary, and then convert the Wellington Middle High School, the old Wellington Middle High School, to a 3 through 5 grade level school. Those projects are underway. The design for the EC Center is complete, and the design work will begin soon for the Wellington Middle School. The biggest part of that conversion of that school will be a playground and some modular moves to make room for that playground on the east side. Interior-wise, we're looking at some paint and some carpet, so it's not going to be too extensive, which is good. And then our Dunn Center-based autism program, we're going to be modifying Dunn Elementary to fit a new program in there that started this year. We were able to make some modifications to the school, but there's more required for that, and that work will take place next summer as well. The board priorities that were set, some of those were the purchase of water rights. We did purchase 47 shares of Colorado Big Thompson. Those shares will help us in the future for future building sites as we look for new elementaries or high schools or middle schools, whatever that's going to look like here in the future. That water will help us get those projects done as well. The fuel tank replacement, we are losing our fueling capabilities that we share with Transport and on Portner for our South Bus Terminal. They no longer have diesel vehicles, so they're closing the fuel tank that we've had a partnership in with for years, which is fine. We were able to design a fuel tank, fuel depot into that site, and everything is done except for the fuel tanks. Again, supply chain issues. We are about a month behind, about 2 months behind waiting on those tanks, and I was told recently those tanks should be in towards the end of October. The sites are ready. We place the tanks, we hook up the plumbing, we're ready to go there. The north terminal is the same way. This week the pumps went in preparation for the tanks showing up later in October, and there'll be 2 tanks at that location. So we're looking forward to completing that and getting back to on-site fueling, which will save the district some money and time. Modular moves, we did move 2 modulars from the Wellington Middle School site to Rice Elementary. for their growth needs there. We're also going to move one modular to Poudre Academy over here so that we can address some growth needs there. The 2 moves to Rice are done. They're complete. We're in the process of permitting right now for the modular at PCA, and we'll do that as soon as we can get through that permitting and SPAR process with the city. And then there'll be one more modular move that we'll have to make room for the playground and parent area for the new 3 through 5 grade level school. But there are some needs coming up where we hope to be able to place that modular. If we're going to move it, let's move it somewhere it can be used. So we're planning on finding that out soon. The BRAC priorities, the Bond Reserve Allocation Committee, that committee ended with the prioritization of using the reserve for emergent issues. I can tell you we had a couple emergent issues come up this year with the Fort Collins High School cooling tower. That system has crashed. It's not repairable, so it's going to have to be replaced, so that'll be a project next year. That system probably will run anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000 to do that. And then Zach Elementary, that system too has decided to end its life term. So we're going to have to do some modifications there, which will run probably about $200,000, $250,000 to modify that system and get it back up to operational standards. And then, of course, any EC classroom expansions that may come from Becca's presentation you heard tonight. We don't know our needs yet, so we are intending on trying to hold some money back so that we can address those needs if they come up. And then our facilities maintenance list, which is that long list that you all got to play in for a little bit and see the extensiveness of that. And that list will continue to grow every year. Even with the new schools, it grew. So as soon as we opened those 2 middle school, high schools, that list got bigger because now we have items that are going to have life cycles there as well. So bond allocation by category, this just shows in kind of a bigger number and bigger picture about where our funds are spent. You can see that new construction is the biggest category there with a little over $300 million going to the middle school, high schools, and then about $30 million going to Bamford, and then $11 million going to the transportation. You can see that that's a big chunk of the bond. The facilities improvements, that's the $40 million list that touches every school in the district. So every school is getting something done. Some are big, some are small. We've got a lot of roofing projects coming up over the next couple of summers, which are important to do. And then the reserves, you can see there's what the BRAC was working with. The bond administration is the team that, the construction team, the project managers and coordinators, they were the ones that are guiding this work and doing the heavy lift to make sure these projects are done on time and in budget, and some other bond administration needs there. So that's that money there. And then the mill levy equipment was funds that were given for transportation and facilities to address needs of equipment and vehicles. As the new sites opened, there were just needs for that to grow so that we can address those schools. As we add square footage, as we add sites, we need to be able to address their needs and get to them. So that was equipment for that. And then our bond fees, the $2.4 million there. And then programs, initially programs was about $8 million. It was set aside for the Futures Lab expansion as Futures Lab moved into the new Timnath Middle High School site. That was no longer needed, so most of that went into the reserves, and we left $2 million in there to address the needs, future needs for that program. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Earl, and he's going to introduce kind of the presentation that we have next to discuss in a little bit more detail our projects.
Thank you, Matt. I'm going to start out with a little clip in case anyone hasn't seen this. This is a clip that was developed by PSD Channel 10, Matt and Phil. It's real fun. Originally, I had some boring pictures in there, but then we discovered this video, and I think this is a much better approach. So. Oh, that mouse is jumpy.
No, you're good. While we're doing this, we can do a plug for PSD's social media platforms. Right now, I'm going to be navigating to PSD's Facebook page, where all of our content is accessible to our community and where we love to celebrate these types of stories. Actually, we're going to back up so you don't have to see my long, long password. And I'm going to show you our district website, where the content is also accessible across all platforms. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that too. This just shows you how many places you can access PSD's story. So if you're going to YouTube, you can do a quick search for Poudre School District. And from there, it will bring up all of our channels, and you can see all of the wonderful content that Matt and Phil produce in our district, separated by content area, including the live streams of these board meetings. But for now, we'll go ahead and go to the Timnath Wellington Middle High School video. Just some tunes for your viewing pleasure. Need to make sure we have a nice segue as we're going from the video. And I'll turn it back to Earl and Matt.
Thanks, Madeline. That was not planned, I promise. I'm going to give you a summary of the two large projects. The Wellington Middle High School was funded at a level of $140.3 million. To date, we've spent or encumbered $138.7 million. There's about $100,000 left in the construction budget and $1.5 million left in the furniture, fixtures, and equipment budget. We're 99.7% complete as of September 1st, and the way we measure percent complete is based on the construction contract, the amount billed versus the total value of the contract. So don't try to do the math up above, because that's probably not going to be 99.7%. So it's based on the contract. We were successful in meeting our deadline and occupied the building on October 12th of 2022. August, sorry. At least it doesn't say 20, yeah. Timnath, similar presentation. The total allocated for the project was $155.6 million. Total spent or encumbered so far is $151.6 million. There was $2.9 million remaining in the construction budget and $1.1 million in FF&E. We're 99.8% complete as of September 1st, and there again, we occupied on August 12th, 2022. And just a reminder, that budget is larger because it did include the district stadium as well. Any questions with those numbers? This is a summary of the major categories within the 40 mil list, and I think you've seen this before. There were over 250 individual projects initially within every school in the district, and those included furniture and fixtures, equipment, flooring, life safety and security, roofing projects, heating and ventilation, site work, interior, exterior improvements. So those are just major categories within that project list. We've added a number of projects to that list, as Matt mentioned earlier, mostly through reserve funds and through the direction of BRAC and so forth. Approximately 70% of the original list of projects is completed. We have at least 2 to 3 more summers of work in the 40 mil list and BRAC projects. And honestly, I would say it's probably closer to 3, if not 4 years, particularly if we continue to face supply chain issues and so forth. Projects that we made progress on during the 21-22 school year, HVAC projects at Rocky Mountain High School, Lincoln Middle School, and Blevins Middle School. We awarded the design build project for the Timnath Elementary School ADA project. So that's a design build where we team a design architect with the contractor at the beginning of the project. They work together to develop solutions. And if you've been to Timnath Elementary School and familiar with that building, there are some significant challenges there that we have to face. A number of building automation control projects. Building automation control system is a system that we use to monitor and control lighting systems and HVAC equipment. So we can look at a school and we can tell what the room temperature is, what the airflow is. We can control the lighting systems and so forth. So it's a very robust system. We continue to upgrade those systems because many of them are obsolete and not supported anymore. We've done a number of flooring projects, including projects at O'Day and Poudre High School, fire alarm upgrade projects at Poudre, Rocky, and Fort Collins High School, interior improvements including office remodel projects. We did one at Rocky and one at Preston this summer. Emergency power generators were upgraded, and then miscellaneous landscaping and asphalt repair projects. This is a summary list of projects we have for the coming year. The iStone Wellington Middle School campus conversion project, we're in just beginning the design solicitation process there. Dunn Elementary HVAC and fire alarm project. Timnath ADA improvements, so that design build project will transition into a construction project towards the end of the school year. Roofing projects, additional flooring, and early childhood restroom projects at Irish. So Irish will be offline this summer because we'll be doing abatement, flooring projects, early childhood restrooms in that building. Exterior and interior improvements to Fuana, Bolts Middle School, building automation control. So, and these are all subject to change for various factors, supply chain issues being one, and just time constraints and capacity of our system, you know, whether that be procurement or construction services or facilities. We just need to make sure we have the capacity to run these projects through. We don't want to overcommit and then say that we can't complete those projects. I wanted to mention one thing concerning the major projects, the two middle school, high schools. As we go through that closeout process, we're going to do a contract audit to make sure that all of the charges and expenditures are appropriate. So we have retained the services of an outside auditor, and we will work with that auditor and the contractor to ensure that everything was done appropriately. So all charges were appropriate and fees charged were accurate. So that's one of the things that we'll do as we close out that project. Any questions?
Nate, go ahead.
Are you going to do the audit with respect to the Bamford project as well, or has that already been done?
That one's been closed out, so we've selected the two large projects to do this. And we have talked about adopting this process in the future on larger projects to just make sure that everything is appropriate.
Other questions or comments from the board?
You're getting tired,
I
aren't
think
you?
I think we have a thumbs up comment from Kristen. That's sort of shorthand. DJ.
I just have the one question. When you talked about that it's more likely that it's going to be like 4 years to kind of get through that list, is there anything feasible that could make it happen quicker, I guess would be the way? Or is it, are we just, because of the tightness of working during the summer and the supply issues?
Well, I think most people would say, well, staff up, add more project managers, and you can get more work done, and that makes sense. But the other thing that we're acutely aware of is capacity in the contracting industry and the design industry in northern Colorado. So we can say that we want to do, say, 10 HVAC projects in one summer. That doesn't mean we're going to be able to retain the contractors to do that. So there isn't system-wide capacity to accomplish that goal. And I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have any idea what the supply chain is going to improve or get worse in the future. So I think we just have to be patient for now at least and keep plugging away. We've been relatively successful in spite of all of these obstacles and challenges that we've faced. We completed those two middle high schools, I think, on time within budget in spite of all of the COVID and supply chain issues and everything. So, but we're going to keep plugging away, and we'll be diligent about pursuing these projects. But I think it would be a challenge to accelerate that schedule, just given so many factors that we have to consider.
Thank you. And thank you and your team for getting those schools done and all the projects you have done, because, excuse me, with the COVID aspect and supply chain stuff, I can't imagine trying to get some of that stuff done. So thank you so much for your work.
I appreciate that, and we're extremely proud of everyone that's been involved with all of these projects. A lot of excellent teamwork. So.
Other comments or questions? I'll just echo the thanks that others have shared with you. The diligence and hard work that you and your teams have delivered has been really excellent, and we appreciate the the care and the completeness with which you're looking after the finances that the voters have generously shared with us for the benefit of the students of the district. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.